Manchester United need a number 6. Now, most people are going to focus on Aurelien Tchouameni and Frenkie De Jong and Declan Rice as their ideal options. This video is not about that. Those players belong in another video entirely. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 highly underrated, underappreciated, not well-known players who are still talented nonetheless and who can do an amazing job and have an amazing impact at Manchester United. Now, these names are by no means sexy names, but I am a firm believer that over the past 20 or 30 years, Manchester United's most successful transfers have been players who were good without being stars, players who became stars at Manchester United. And so it's with this mindset that I am looking at the ideal transfers for Manchester United in 2022 and in 2023. And so let's have a look at these 3 players. And I'm sure that by the end of this video, probably at least one of them is going to look like an interesting prospect to you. The first option is Santiago Ascabar. He's 24, an Argentine international, and this guy is a master ball winner. Look at his number, look at his stats. This guy does one thing and one thing only, and it is to win the ball. A great comparison would be Javier Mascherano, or if you want to look at a more modern type of player, that would be Oriol Romeo from Southampton, for example. Players who are comfortable in that number 6 position, but whose main job is to win the ball. Win it and pass it to more talented players who have a much bigger impact in the final third of the pitch. Now, I'm not a big fan of players who are one-dimensional like Santiago Ascabar is. However, when you look at the wealth of talent that we have in the attacking department at Manchester United, but even in midfield, players like Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba or his replacement are creative forces. Players like Fred and Scott McTominay are much more comfortable as 8s than they are as number 6s. And so maybe a player like Santiago Ascabar could be exactly what we need. Someone who is a specialist tackler, whose main job is to protect the back 4 and just give the ball to more attacking players. Players who are much better at progressing the ball, much better at passing the ball, much better at creating chances. And he's just 24, so he's still young, he will still improve, and his contract expires in 2024. I don't think that a player like this would cost a lot of money, but I still believe that he could be a shrewd transfer from Manchester United that won't make the headlines, probably won't satisfy the cravings of the fans, but who in the midterm and the long term could actually turn out to be quite an interesting signing for Manchester United. The second option is Nicolas Dominguez, another Argentinian player who plays for Bologna in Serie A. 23 years old and a graduate of the prestigious Vélez Sarsfield Academy in Argentina. He's also a very good player who's having an amazing season in Serie A. As you can see from his stats, he's also a proficient ball winner, just like Santiago Ascabar, but he has the advantage of being a much more energetic and much more versatile type of player. As you can see, his ball progression, either through passes or through dribbling, is decent, and he's also a chance creator. In fact, he has 3 assists this season in Serie A, and so he's more of an all-action, multi-purpose, multifunctional kind of midfielder, someone who is more similar to a Gattuso, for example. And this kind of players, when you pair him with someone like Scott McTominay, for example, if you play a double pivot, then they can provide much more protection and much more stability in the center midfield than a pair of Scott McTominay and Fred, for example. But players like Nicolas Dominguez, they are quite versatile, and so they can allow whoever is the manager at Manchester United to play different formations because they can fit in different roles. If Ralf Rangnick chooses to play his preferred 4-2-2-2 with the double 6, then having Scott McTominay and Nicolas Dominguez there as the 2 6s is much better than having Scott McTominay and Fred, for example. What I also like about Nicolas Dominguez is that he's such an efficient and clean tackler. This guy doesn't commit many fouls, and the reason for that is that he doesn't really dive into tackles, but he's much smarter. He just uses his positioning, the way he positions his body. That's how he actually tackles and wins the ball back. And so he's a very good player to have, extremely underrated. And players like this, they don't make them like this anymore. And so he can be quite a shrewd sign-in for Manchester United. So Nicolas Dominguez also won't be expensive. His contract also expires in 2024. Bologna are a club that needs to sell. So bringing in a player of this quality, of this caliber at Manchester United would not require us to break the bank. So another interesting option. And the final option, and the best option in my humble opinion, Maxence Caqueret from Lyon. The 22-year-old is an amazing player. I can't believe that Newcastle went for Bruno Guimaraes instead of Maxence Caqueret. This guy is amazing. As you can see from his stats, not only is he a proficient tackler and ball winner, But also, he's an amazing deep line playmaker and progressor of the ball, as seen through his passing and dribbling stats. This guy is amazing, and don't be fooled by his small frame. He seems little. He's not the tallest or the strongest, but this guy is very smart. His positioning is amazing, and he's very efficient at winning the ball and at circulating it and putting it into dangerous positions where more talented, more advanced players can actually create havoc in the opposition box, right? But what's truly impressive about Maxence Caqueret is the fact that Lyon are not having a good season at all, and yet he's able to clock in these numbers. This is just a testament of his quality. But also, what would be interesting to Manchester United and Manchester United fans worldwide is the fact that Maxence Caqueret, his contract expires in 2023. And knowing Jean-Michel Aulas, who is one of the best club presidents in history and who is a shrewd businessman, right? He's an astute businessman. He knows full well that if a player like Maxence Caqueret's contract expires in 2023, then the player will likely not sign a new contract at Lyon. And so the best summer and the best time to sell him would be in 2022. Between him and Boubacar Kamara, who is available on a free, I personally would rather we spend 18 to 20 million pounds on Maxence Caqueret than get Boubacar Kamara on a free, because Maxence Caqueret is just a much better player. People talk about Boubacar Kamara much more because he's free, but Maxence Caqueret, I'd rather we pay 15 to 20 million pounds on this guy than rather get Boubacar Kamara on a free. He's a truly, genuinely world-class player, and he's only gonna get better. He's just 22. And this guy, he could reach the same heights as a Joshua Kimmich, for example, at Bayern. He seems to have a similar profile in that being very good defensively, but also having very good and very effective and efficient ball playing ability. And so I personally would love to see Maxence Caqueret at Manchester United. Anyway, these are three highly underrated players who are very talented. I'm a firm believer that Manchester United should not go for stars, but rather make stars. Go for players who are good and who can become even better and make a name for themselves at Old Trafford. And so these three options definitely are interesting options that we need to look at. And I'm sure that there are some other options that I'll make sure to make a video on. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the future video. Cheers.